There are 2 participants in this conference. Please announce yourself.
This is the 523 Happy Hour with your host, Kelly Lincoln. Hey! Here on netrootsradio.com. Oh. Good evening, afternoon, whatever the hell time is. This is the October 5th edition of Happy Hour. Today's going to be a little bit more random than normal. So many things to distract me. Yes, this is the Eris and ADHD approved 523 Happy Hour, where we meander through my ADHD mind and where there is multiple dead airs. Hang on a second. Gotta hang on a moment. And there we go. I actually have some background noise in the background to help me focus, and I've got all sorts of things going on right now to help me focus, including a pretend periscope. And it's all set up, so I'm actually doing that. And I've got the TV on with the sound down. I am so ADHD, I need shit around me to help me focus by forcing me to ignore it. And that's what's so much fun about my life right now. Beside the fact that this past Wednesday and Thursday, I got recertified as a mental health first aid responder. That is what somebody who is trained in working as the a stopgap for somebody who's either in a crisis or is beginning to show symptoms of a crisis, by helping them breathe, keep a grip until professional help can get by. And I highly recommend that everybody go through the certification training, because it teaches you how to talk to people that are in a crisis, emotional, psychological crisis, and who may be thinking of self-harm. And so my suggestion would be is to if you're in New York City, Thrive, which is part of the I think it's nyc.gov /Thrive, and they will have a listing of the trainings. I did my first training a few years ago through the IAVA, which is the Iraq Afghanistan Veterans Association. And for those of you that are veterans, you might want to check through them. And that is iava.org. And you can also find information online at the organization's website, which is mhfa.org. And I really recommend that you get yourself trained in this, along with basic first aid CPR and how to reverse an opioid overdose and save a life. I mean, these are all things that I believe that we all need to have knowledge of. And because you never know when you are going to be confronted with a situation where these skills are truly life-saving skills. Where I live right now, I'm trying to arrange with my social worker and some of the other social workers, planting the seeds in their head that as long as we are being trained in how to use Narcan and Naloxone, that maybe we should also be basic first aid CPR certified as well. I live in senior/supportive housing, and there are people here that have major health issues. So it's in our own best self-interest to know these things, and it's and as just as human beings, it is within our own self-interest to know these things, to save a life, to know how to stop bleeding, save a life, how to deal with somebody who is injured, maybe unconscious. The best ways to, stopped breathing, heart attack, It's very important in my opinion. Yeah, that's it. What else? Oh yeah. Well, I was on my way to the training, what was it, Thursday. It was raining outside. If it's raining inside, we should call somebody to repair the roof, but it was raining. And the training itself took place on the Lower East Side in the Bowery / Lower East Side. And I haven't been down there in like a really, really long time. And maybe I will turn this on in the middle of things. And got to move my microphone a little closer here. Can y'all hear me now? Oops, sorry about that. And my goodness, how the neighborhood has changed. It's all bright and shiny and gentrified and doesn't look anything like the Bowery. Unless, of course, you're walking past the Bowery Mission, and then, of course, the people that are shopping at the Whole Foods a couple of blocks up the street at Bowery and East Houston are like really not happy with all those icky Bowery people there. And in fact, this was Wednesday. I witnessed a near fatal hit and run as I was walking down Bowery. A gentleman crossing the street, pushing a wheelchair in front of him. Car honked its horn and just slammed, didn't even try and stop, just slammed right into the man's wheelchair, which he was pushing, thank goodness. And the car just kept going, didn't even bother stopping. Had the man been walking just a little faster, he would have been hit. And this happened right out in front of the Bowery Mission. And some guy just ran him down. The car down, hopefully, and got told, and got him to stop, but the car never returned back to the scene of the accident. And like I said, fortunately, the man pushing the wheelchair in front of him was okay, but the wheelchair lost a wheel. So like I said, it's the guy could have, it's was a rather startling event, to say the least. And Thursday, as I was walking to University Settlement, where the mental health first aid training was taking place, it was raining. And New York City, for some bizarre reason, just loves slippery surfaces when wet. And I nearly slipped and fell on the sidewalk in the rain because it was slippery. It was as slippery as a linoleum floor. Don't ask me the reasoning behind it. I don't know, but having slippery sidewalks right by the subway is not a good deal. Continuing my walk down Houston Street after not slipping and busting my tailbone. Got to Settlement House, got downstairs, got through the training, which was, as again, I highly recommend it. But yeah, Thursday in the rain, the city of New York was trying to kill me, as they've tried to kill me several times over. And hey, Rick James Blue BB, hello. I'm doing a simulcast here for those of you that are watching on Periscope. That I am recording my podcast, which will air tomorrow on netrootsradio.com. And so you're not going to be able to hear any of the sound effects that I'm doing because I haven't. I'm streaming on my iPad and recording on my laptop, and that's why you see two microphones. One is for this one right here, this iRig, which is a really cool microphone. If you want a podcast and you need a really good US mic that you can use with a headphone jack, or even if you've got like a phone with a USB-C or Lightning port without the headphone jack, Apple, I'm looking at you. You can get adapters for it. They have them for the Type-C and for the Lightning, and I use the Type-C, the Lightning type when I'm using the microphone off my iPhone. And there's your technical for today. I have a mixer that I am like streaming, that I've got my Shure mic attached to, and so I'm just giving everybody that's watching on Periscope a rundown what I'm doing, and a MG10XU Yamaha mixer. This behind me here is the microphone I use for my voiceover work. It's a really good Nady SCM 800 condenser mic. This is a Shure Dynamic mic. This is a iRig dynamic mic. And so, again, my show today is a little bit more ADHD random than normal. So, let's see. I've covered why New York City's trying to kill me when it rains. And you, when it rains. The mental health first aid and why you should get yourself certified. And now on to a newer segment. And it's called, and it's word... well, there's two parts of this. There's word of the day and slang word of the day. And actually today it's all going to be slang words of the day because I love older slang, 19th century slang, and earlier. And this is all taken from the 19th century. And we're going to start off with the phrase wake snakes, which means to raise a ruckus. And we all know what's going on right now. We got an individual in the People's House that is waking the snakes. Beautiful metaphor for that as well. So we have President Hubble Bubble, waking the snakes. And behind him are all his fart catchers. And so we're all puckered, we're all irritated. So going back to that, wake snakes means to raise a ruckus. So I'd say, if you just want something new to say, I mean, we need to make our language, our American English was once a extremely colorful language. And as happens with languages, they narrow down. So I'm into like trying to expand my vocabulary with new slang, with new words. My favorite description of being drunk is a Victorian phrase, English Victorian, and that is corkscrewed and serpentined. And in fact, some of the slang that we use today comes from the 19th century. Believe it or not. In fact, the word gig that we now use for work actually meant hands, was a slang term for hands. Smarmy gigs, get your dirty hands. So, just, and you can go online and just do a search for slang dictionaries, and you'll find a plethora of them. You'll find 19th century slang, Civil War slang, early 20th century slang, 18th century slang, Elizabethan slang. So it's well worth it. It's a lot of fun. Expand your mind. It's good for your brain. Make new neural pathways and keep yourself from randomness like me. And speaking of random, we haven't heard from him in a while, thank goodness. I have decided to award this week's Hero of the Republic to Alex Jones. And why Alex Jones? Because the man is batshit. Well, this took place a year ago during the one of the trials where he said, "I'm a performance artist." But he also stated that if you were a reasonable individual, you wouldn't buy what he's selling. In other words, he is focused on the weak-minded, the easily swayed. Surprised he hasn't gone on about QAnon. He hasn't tried to come back on QAnon, but he's still around, still being sued by the Sandy Hook parents, and deserves everything he gets. So he is. Well, there's let's see, whom else is the hero of the Republic? Usually, I do this for somebody who's like just a joke, but I think since the heading on the Facebook page is a Confederate ship sinking, I think I need to expand it out to cover more than just blousy kooks, conspiracy kooks. Well, we do have one in the White House, but I think, and that's my problem. You're listening to the 523 Happy Hour here on netrootsradio.com. So what else am I blithering on about? Oh yeah. Woohoo. Did I do this right? Oops. I have to make an edit when the show is done. I thought this was episode 17. It's actually 16. Sorry. A very interesting Twitter thread I came across, and it was talking about Jewish atheists and Christian atheists. A theist, I believe that in that term that it's being used in a different sense, and that is here it is, the definition of atheist. Well, that's not exactly it. That's not exactly the what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the there's several meanings of it. Here we go. And we go to Merriam-Webster. There we go. And that is well, the definition of atheist is someone who doesn't believe or in the existence of God or any gods, or who or isn't. Well, in the 19th century, if you were an atheist, or in the time of Shelley, it had a different connotation to it. You're a theist. Whoa, maybe I was wrong. The first known use of atheist was in 1551, and it has the meaning that it still has today, so it's always meant that. I'm wrong. My bad. Maybe they meant that Shelley was Percy Bysshe. Shelley was a deist. Well, atheist is like either disbelieves or has a lack of belief, not necessarily a complete non-belief. And so, I don't even know what I was saying here. Now you know why I'm saying this is tagged ADHD and it's random. And, so, sorry about the dead air. No, I'm not. We're dealing with stuff here. So I completely lost my train of thought here, which is so normal. Whoops. I don't have that file anymore. No, love, you're not alone. It's alright if you cry. If things don't work out right, it's something we can buy. No, love, you're not alone. I'll give you a little bit of a reading here while I gather the wool. This is an excerpt from The Fascist Revival by Mike Newbury. Thus the military and political pinchers tighten on foreign policy. President Kennedy, the right hopes, will by this tactic be forced toward their own position. This tactic of the right attempts to destroy the Kennedy administration's promises of peace with warlike actions. To accomplish this, the right seeks to compromise the self-proclaimed liberalism of President Kennedy's administration on domestic issues and to separate it from the gunboat foreign policy. Knowing that a liberal program at home cannot long survive an international policy that is reactionary, the rightist politicians hope to sink the civil rights, labor, and welfare measures of the Kennedy administration with the gunfire of war. It is the familiar guns not butter tactic. Once guns replace peace negotiations, the rightists know the rest is history. Humorous is how an unusually perceptive journalist at first described these fanatics. Ridiculous was the dictum of Attorney General Robert Kennedy. Yet, wasn't Mussolini thought of at first as a buffoon and clown, and wasn't Hitler ridiculed as a madman? Is it necessary at this late date to say that the dangers of fascism will be defeated only if they are seriously exposed and fought? Laughing at fascism will not laugh it away. Wishful thinking will not wish it away, nor will the belittling of the fascist revival help defeat this determined offensive of the war advocates. To the trade unions in particular, and working people in general, whom fascism would burden with the casualties and costs of war, while denying them their laboriously won rights, weakening and abolishing their unions and subjecting them to second-class citizenship. The threat of fascism is very real, immediate. To the Negro people, to whom fascism would mean instituting of racism to the level of national and international policy while establishing Jim Crow as the law of the land and destroying any hope of equality and integration, the threat of fascism is deadly. To the Jewish people, to whom fascism would mean a reopening of the scarred wounds of Hitlerism, the threat of fascism is a nightmare. To the intellectuals, to whom fascism would mean an eternal witch hunt. While straitjacketing all thought, padlocking the mind of universities, and emasculating freedom of the press, the arts, and the sciences, the threat of fascism is the threat of sterility. To the whole American people, be they Democrat or Republican or socialist or communist or of any belief in between, to whom fascism would mean an end to democracy while turning the country into a vast military camp with bird society coordinators to staff this garrison state and the economy ruined by an insane nuclear war, the threat of fascism is a threat to America itself. America is indeed in danger. The unity of the whole people and nothing less is required to safeguard our form of democracy and the people of the world from the un-Americans of the ultra-right. Bishop Horace Donegan of the Protestant Episcopal Diocese of New York has warned that, quote, to call such programs of the Bircherites, which sow seeds of suspicion and ill will, conservative, is a misnomer. They endeavor to reverse our American tradition of democracy and civil rights, the Right Reverend Bishop Donegan said, to paralyze our federal government in its promotion of the general welfare and in other ways to turn back the clock of our national history and experience. The urgency of the fascist offensive is the urgency of history. Frantic because of the growth of freedom, the fascists wish not only to turn back the clock, but to smash the clock. It is a great moment in history we are witnessing. And for those of you that were not able to hear it, you can go to tomorrow. This will be rebroadcast on netrootsradio.com, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Atlantic, and I think you can figure that out. Central. I know what Atlantic time is, because the co-host of the late night show here is on Prince Edward Island, and they're on Atlantic time. They're like an hour ahead of us. So, speaking of randomness, I'm also a Discordian, and we have no organizations. And I was thumbing through one of the propagandistic publications that you can print off the inner tubes, and it's a series of single-page essays called On Activism. Sorry about that. My stapler hates me. No, it doesn't. I have a very tiny stapler. Isn't it cute? So, these are really great essays. Us Discordians, despite our randomness and our apparent lack of and our disorganization, we actually have it pretty well together. And in these series of the first one that I actually highlighted was a short piece called On Activism. Actually, it's called Forget Activism, and by Johnny Brainwash, and Johnny makes the following statements regarding it. Activism is for your ego. If you're an activist, you're like a keyboard warrior. Sometimes I'm an activist because I sit behind my keyboard furiously typing away or blithering like I am doing right now. But what am I actually doing? Am I actually out there doing something? Yes, I am, but it's when my depression is like, it's like I got to get out, is at a point where I can actually function outside of my little cloistered cell. Depression is not fun. What Johnny has to say about forgetting activism is organizing, is getting out there and doing it. The climate march, protesting against the war, the people who are out in front of the White House, or as they call it, the Kremlin Annex, protesting, demonstrating, being out there, putting your money where your mouth, and if you believe it, hate to say it, but, the Nazis, the neo-Nazis, and these alt-righty, tighty-whities, they're not activists, they're organizing, they're out in the fucking streets because they want change, but the change they want is at my expense and my life and your expense. So, as people that are anti-fascist, anti-white supremacist, anti-national white nationalism, we need to do more than just sit at our keyboards typing away. We need to be out showing our numbers, because that is the only way we can affect the change that we want. When President Obama said, we are the change, that we are the people that, we can't let somebody else do it for us. We have to do it ourselves. And what we need to do, to quote Johnny Brainwash, is learn the difference between goals and objectives and between strategy and tactics. mean, we as Americans, if you really want, we're heading into impeachment. The grand jury investigation. That's what the impeachment is. If the articles of impeachment are passed, that means he's been indicted. And the indictment then goes to the Senate, where he stands trial and may or may not be found guilty of violating his oath of office and other good stuff. Then maybe if he is found guilty, he will be removed. And this is why you cannot have an anarchy where there are no leaders. There will always be a leader of some sort. That's why communism's failed, because it was supposed to be communal, egalitarian. It failed. The French Revolution was equality, égalité, fraternity, equality, egalitarianism, and brotherhood, and it quickly devolved. And this is another very telling statement, which I really like, that Johnny Kemp states. Never trust someone who's got all the answers, especially if it's yourself. And never trust someone who rejects short-term change because it doesn't look like their revolution. Waiting for the revolution is like waiting for the Messiah. You'll eat pie in the sky, and that's a lie. And this is why, and it's getting involved, getting out there, putting yourself physically on the line. There's, immigrants' rights, closing the ICE concentration camps, standing up to racism, sexism. I'm not going to say genderism, because even if no matter what you label yourself, you're still gendered. I mean, unless you're going to, but let's not go there, because that's not worth the angst and the recriminations and the tweets that people will be looking for me with. Let me put my microphone back up here. Oh, look, now you can't see my mouth again. Actually, looking at myself in the video screen, I look like I'm at a press conference. I need a couple of more. I should actually put up a couple of more dummy mics and get cubes for these. That's netrootsradio.com. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I mean, there's so many different ways to get involved, to get out there and work for change. Oh, going back to the atheism thing. Great thread about atheism, and this was on Twitter, and somebody in the thread asked how a Jewish atheist handles the mitzvahs, the obligations. And my response was, should be working. Just got a note saying that maybe is it working now? And for those, and let me check my volume on something here. Is that better? I know there's... Shit. Yay. Okay. Sounds like the internal mic is on, so that's not good. So, well, I'm just going to keep talking now. Anyway, with two mics in front of me that may or may not be working, and I don't quite get why, because it should be. Let me just. I just love it when I do this. Oops. I don't need to hear myself right now anyway, so. Gonna plug in over here. Can I hear me now? Holy shit, no. I cannot hear any damn thing. That means this. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, look, I think the mic is dead. I think the microphone is dead. Yay! Whee! Because okay. Okay, I guess that sort of takes care of that. My iMic is not functioning. So I want to apologize for the crappy, shitty audio, but that's how it goes. So my iMic is dead. Or at least it's no longer playing with the newer iPhone, newer iOS update. Or maybe not even that, because I don't even have it's old enough that I can't update the operating system on the iPad. So I guess I have to play with the sound and find out why the mic is no longer working. It's a good mic too, which is annoying as all get out. But I'm still going to continue on with my Periscope, because that's how I am. And now I only have to worry about one microphone so I can actually see what the hell I'm doing here. Yeah! Whee! Chef Boyardee. And, what are you doing here?
You're listening to the 523 Happy Hour with Kelly Lincoln here on netrootsradio.com.
How do you like that little jingle there? Oh, yeah, again, if poor folks on Periscope can't hear a damn thing I'm playing through Spreaker here, because I'm actually right now also live streaming this on Spreaker.com. Then I take the copy that I've got saved to disk, I edit that. I edit it, I EQ it, I edit out some of the dead air, and everything is just fine and dandy. More random, I mean, I'm just random as I'll get out. Okay. What's also going on that's so much frickin' fun? I'm missing a page here. Oh yeah, the dude who claims to have had an affair with Elizabeth Warren actually never served overseas. There we are. He was in. He served for just under a year, and apparently he was stationed in Hawaii that entire time. So he never received a Purple Heart. Oh my God, it was like hysterical. The people that were laughing during the press conference pissed off one of the conspiracy theorist Jack Berkman, and because people were heckling the whole thing, Berkman chastised the hecklers that were laughing at the ex-Marine's claims about being allegedly hired by Warren as an escort. Quote, "Are you laughing at our troops? Do you think his service in Afghanistan is funny? Do you think our dead soldiers, ... our soldiers who lost their lives in Afghanistan is funny?" said Berkman. Let me just tell you one thing when it comes to honoring service here, Wall said. We don't play around, and if you're going to keep impugning the serviceman's service fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan, then you're going to leave. And then they asked Welly, the Marine, to describe his service in Afghanistan. My service in Afghanistan, it was very early. It was very ... Early in my Marine Corps time, when I was just getting to my unit, said Welly, when I was stationed in Hawaii, 1st Battalion, 3rd Marine Regiment. It's on Wikipedia, but in 2012 we were stationed in Afghanistan, deployed to Afghanistan. However, Welly could not have served in Afghanistan in 2012, according to his releasable biographical data. That's because he enlisted in 2015. So, and Elizabeth Warren's response was just to, when she was informed of this, was just to say, "Go Cougars! Go Cougars." Us Cougars are just amazing. So Jacob Wall, and who's really dying to do something right for a change. Is he's just a sad puppy. Not even a puppy. He's not even that. And then you know we're delving into this rabbit hole of nonsense. From there, we're going to. Thwimp tapped his non-lawyer son-in-law, Jared, to lead his impeachment defense. I guess that's because it's easier. There's no attorney-client privilege there because Kushner's not a lawyer. And if he is a lawyer, I don't think he's admitted to practice in D.C. But you never know. So some of the and this is a printout by bylined Brad Reed from Huffington Post, and President Donald Trump has reportedly tapped son-in-law Jared Kushner to lead the fight against House Democrats in impeachment inquiry. As reported by CNN on Friday, the president is relying on Kushner and Chief of Staff, and next to be thrown under the bus, Mike Mulvaney, to come up with a plan aimed at beating back investigations launched by House Democrats into the president's efforts. Sorry about that. Can you tell that I have actually had on-camera training? Can you tell that? I'm delighted to hear that and Twitter just erupted in all the good shit, as Twitter do. Wait, Kushner and Mulvaney hitting up White House impeachment strategy? These clones have no experience when it comes to impeachment inquiry, but they don't have the grapefruits to defend Trump. But every breaking news, it will be bad news for the White House. Stark resistance. October. This is all. Kushner and Mulvaney to head impeachment defense. To my knowledge, Kushner does not have a law degree. Trump is screwed. And he very well may be. I mean, basically, Trump is basically doing the, you can't hit, you miss me, you only nick my ear, neener, 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 na-na-na-na-na-noo. And he may be right. He may be right. But according to something else that I read, is that it's not really everything that he is doing has a specific design. We can laugh at him and think he's something, but he knows what he's doing. He knows how to deflect and distract because he's a creature of television. And TV is all about distraction. Sleight of mouth, sleight of hand, you don't let, close-up magic. He's very good at selling air, selling nothing, selling a dream, selling. And the same people that support him are the same people that bought into Trump University and the Trump Nutrition Program, which I almost got roped into doing, but I'm really shitty at multi-level marketing because I really fucking hate retail. I really hate retail. And so the people that, so these are the same people that he's fleecing now, are the same people he fleeced with all of his with Trump University and all this, and it's all about making them feel something. You know, see, I can help you achieve your dreams, but you have to listen to what I say. Follow my steps. You don't have it. You don't have enough money. Well, just max out your credit cards. Go to, you got somebody, got a family member you can borrow it from. It's all hard sell. But he's also modeling himself on the people he admires. Putin, MSB, Xi Jinping. Not so much Kim Jong-un, because Kim's got nothing he wants. Kim can't help him get elected, but those three can. The other three can. And if you take a good look at what he's doing, the trade war was instigated so he would have a bargaining chip when it came to accepting fabricated crap on whomever is going to be the Democratic candidate. And more on just a brief, not so much a brief, but to go off on that. Bernie Sanders, get well soon. Heart attacks are no fun. Hope to see you back on the campaign trail. And another article that I came across. An ex-FBI agent is calling out the fact that he believes this ex-FBI agent believes that Thwimp is running a covert psyop on us. And you can find his tweets at so they call it perception management, and it's that no such thing as bad publicity, and it's all the optics, how things look. I don't care what you say about me as long as you spell my name right. But because he really can't control what's going on right now, he's going back to resorting to perception management. How do we perceive what is going on? It's a witch hunt. It's presidential harassment. They're being meanieheads to me. They're the bullies. They're the bullies, not me, even though I'm bullying everybody else. And he's dog whistling. Quote, and this is you can find a clip of Asha Rangappa with a clip. And I wish I had this clip. I didn't get this clip edited in time. As I note in the clip above, quote, as I note in the clip above, one thing the text made clear is that the administration wasn't just interested in Ukraine investigating Biden. They were specifically interested in the messaging about the investigation. If what you care about is corruption, you would be satisfied with an assurance that Ukraine was going to investigate. Instead, Trump The Trump administration doesn't care so much about the investigation itself, but making sure that the fact that it is being investigated is being broadcast to the audience that they care about, American voters. Now, I've been saying this along. This has nothing to do with corruption or anything else. I actually see it more as like getting back for all the meanie heads in the media and everything who are going after his tool, just brats. Importantly, she continues, importantly, they are invested in the message being crafted in a specific way, tailored to Trump's benefit by maximizing, quote, the seeds of doubt on both Biden and the 2016 election. It's being drafted by Trump's personal lawyer, she noted. In addition, the message was going to be delivered as an official statement from the Ukraine with no indication that the United States either precipitated or participated in its creation in any way. Now, this goes back to something that broke, that's saying that Giuliani was going to deliver a message to was treating the president of the Ukraine the way, much like the toothless monarch of Britain, where the Queen's address to Parliament is actually the Prime Minister's. The Prime Minister writes it, hands it to Her Majesty, and she reads it as though they were her words. Same thing. So basically, what's going on here is a claim that Zelensky is the puppet of Trump, as Trump is the puppet of Putin. So, like I was talking about modeling, Trump has modeled himself now on Vladimir Putin, who's a strong man who gets away with bullshit, oligarchs, stealing. Nothing goes. Trump has to get his cut, just as Putin has to get his cut if anything wants to go forward. The goal here is to manipulate American public into thinking that Ukraine had independently reached the same conclusion about the Russia investigation and or uncovered criminal leads about Biden, she explained. Trump could then use this to bolster his own views. Not for nothing, Rengap explained her experience with cases like this. Not for nothing, but a good chunk of cases I investigated in the FBI were perception management, a.k.a. propaganda. And let me just readjust this here, because I'm also speaking to the good folks at on Periscope. She revealed, we actively try to stop foreign countries from doing this to us because we believe that part of an open society and marketplace of ideas is ensuring that people know the true source of information in order to assess credibility and critically evaluate content. FARA originated in 1938 as a way to combat Nazi propaganda by requiring state-sponsored content to be identified as such. FARA is not new. It's been around since 1938. Basically, you have the Trump administration attempting to conduct an illegal covert psyop on the American public using officials from the State Department and his own attorney to do it. It's literally a version of what Russia did in 2016, Rengapa included. And this is followed up with the tweets that were that Rengapa sent out.
Hi, it's Tom. Could we humbly suggest your donation to netrootsradio.com? All we've got to run this 24-hour powerhouse of progressive resistance radio is what comes out of our own wallets. And you are our biggest donor. And it doesn't take much, $3, $5. Just go to the bottom of our netrootsradio.com page and hit our secure donate button. Heck, you can even make a recurring contribution. and you'll get a wondiferous pair of Netroots radio stickers for application to your backpack, your bumper sticker, or your banjo. Well, it's up to you which backpack you want to put it on. So donate what you'd like at the bottom of our netrootsradio.com's homepage, because you are our biggest donor. netrootsradio.com. Together, we are Resistance Radio.